So we have law, which is the yes and no principle, and it's nothing to do with what we call law as legal law, which is not really law. It's rules. Because laws can't be broken. Like the laws of physics, you can't break the laws of physics. But you can break rules, and rules are made to be broken because obviously they serve the rulers if we do break them, because that gives them an excuse, not a right, but an excuse to be able to either discount us or control our freedoms in a way. And it's all about control. It's a funny thing, they call it law. Why would they call it law when it's not law? We know what law is. Okay, there's only one meaning for a word, or it means nothing. If it has a dual meaning, it's obviously wasn't designed. That meaning was only designed to mean one thing. It was specific. But I digress. So we have this law, principles, and we have law, L-O-R-E, which a lot of people talk about these days on the internet and around the place, and that's fine. They can talk about that, but we have a lot of people believing this stuff as well. And look, my point is, well, what's the difference between law and our history here on Earth, and universal law? You know, where does it come from? Who knows? It's not your personal experience. No one can actually experience this. They have to believe it. They have to believe it's their higher selves telling them this stuff or whatever. And I know from experience, my higher self is telling me negative stuff. Well, it's not coming from my higher self, because the universe doesn't work that way. So, what is law? Well, it's just it's like our own history, isn't it? It's very similar. It can just as easily be manipulated and contrived, just like we say the victors write the history. You know, is written by the victors, is written by the winners. Well, you know, really they're not really winners at all. What have they won? When you think about it, they've won the fear-based manifest creation, not the love-based consciousness density. But anyway, let them play their games. Law, really, to me, there's no difference. It's just something. It's a story. You know, it's someone else's story as well, because I don't have memory of my other lives or, you know, my higher self or anything. And even when I do, when it tells me something, well, if it's aligned with the logic, the principles of yes, then, and it feels good, you know, there's always, it clicks. Now, resonation is another thing. I mean, people say, I resonate with that, it must be true. Well, not necessarily. It only resonates because it's aligned with, it's aligned with your beliefs. It'll resonate, you know, because in order to resonate, it's got to be pretty low to resonate with the belief system. No. So that's where law fits into the picture. People resonate with all these people who've claimed they've talking to ascended masters and all that. They bring back this law, and a lot of people resonate. And perhaps, you know, I mean, that's perfectly fine. They can resonate because the universe is full of games. And the games of limitation, the games are lies and deceits, and they're there for a purpose. You know, you don't learn anything unless you're facing a challenge. And one of the challenge of this life is to bring that higher conscious self, who we are in the overall scheme of things, to manifest that consciousness in this body, into this mind, into this brain, which is built by it's built by the characteristics of fear, by limiting the higher conscious density origin, the source of who we are, and that's an assumption as well. And you know, creating this physical matter and this physical energies and all the stuff we experience in this material density. So, in order to create this stuff, we've got to employ fear. So there's a residual fear in all of us, you know, that that we've got to work out. It's like we've been freshly casted and we're shaking the sand out of the mould. You know, this is what we're doing. We're going through these. We're exploring all this fear. We're getting to know it so we can be through with it. We can be done with it. We can move on, and we can bring that our higher selves into this body, because we created it for a reason. We created it so we can explore it, so we can sense, so we can feel, so we can enjoy it, so we can create new stuff. You know. So it all serves a purpose, but it helps understand what purpose it serves. And I don't want to take anyone's law away from them. If they resonate with that, that's fine. That's where they are on their journey, and perhaps that's right for them. Yeah, but for me, it's that's history. That's somebody else's knowledge, perhaps, their beliefs. It doesn't mean anything to me. I keep getting the argument, you know, logic and spirit don't go hand in. Spiritual experiences don't go together. You know, they're opposing things. Well, I'm telling you, law and the spiritual experience are two different things too. You know, one's reality, one's who we really are, and the other one's a storyline. It's a belief system. You know, it's no different than the written word or a movie. You know, a representation of our past history on Earth. It has the same failings, susceptible to manipulation and you know, distortion. And in a way, it's not a direct opposite, but it's kind of an opposite to law, because it you know, basically it sort of comes from fear, where the law, being of dual polarity, the love and fear, it's sort of an opposing polarity. It's, you know, the other side of the coin. That's the thing. One thing melds into the other. There's no direct opposites, you see. And every opposite is made up of opposites, and every opposite is made up of opposites, and that's where we get our excitation fields. Everything is fields, by the way. The universe is fields. We don't see the fields, but they're like bubbles. They're encasing all physical matter and energy. And they keep planets on their course and keep things from colliding into each other. They're like, it's like everything's bubble wrapped in these fields. But we're getting off topic. Law and law. Alright. I think we've had enough of law and law. You know, the law is what is. The law is what was. It's the past. And while it may help us explain, understand what we're doing, where we're at, and that's perfectly fine, don't mistake it for the truth, the absolute truth. Because the only real absolute truth is the law. Right? It's only logic is the only incorruptible thing in the universe. Because when it's corrupted, when it's broken, it's no longer logic. It's no longer logical. It can't function anymore. And the universe being based on logic, it sort of teaches in a very logical manner. It teaches in sequence. You've got to learn one lesson before you move on to the next. And it won't tell you twice, because that'd be inefficient. The only reason we experience hardship is because we're not listening. We're not listening, and we're not accepting. Well, you know, our lessons that maybe we are. You know, repeating the same mistakes over and over again is also a lesson. But we don't have to. We can listen. We can take the hints from the universe, and once we learn to accept, once we learn to set aside our resistance and our rejection of ideas because we believe we've got to reject them because they're bad and all that sort of thing, then we can see these things and we can accept them, and we can see everything is valid. We can see the universe is so intelligent and it's so beautiful, and it works so well without us. And we can we can accept our lessons, and we learn from them. We move on to the next one. So you don't have to go through all this hardship. We see people bouncing off the walls, getting so frustrated, so angry, so violent, so conflicted. For okay, maybe they need to learn something. But this is why I'm saying all this stuff, is trying to make things easier for people, and at the same time make things easier for myself, because I want to live in a world where people are not in conflict, because that makes my world better. And it all does come down to what I want, what you want. That's what being a sovereign being is all about. It's about, not letting anybody dictate to you what you should be doing. It's about being in control of yourself and fulfilling your own desires. And that's what we're doing. We're learning to be who we are at the source end, at this end, at this far end of the universe, at this far end of creation, the other end from the source, the omega end of the source. We're bringing that all here, and we are sovereign, integral beings. The reason I'm putting this all out there right now is because I can see there's a need for it. A lot of people are going through the experiences, and they're, they could be a lot more than what they are already. There's a lot of people who are going to be going into fear, and they're going to be missing out. They're going to be, missing the bus. They're going to have to wait for the next wave and do the whole cycle over again. And, they don't have to. But in any case, things are going to change very, very rapidly and very, very intensely in the very near future, as far as I can see. And I've seen a long, long way into the future because, I've played a little bit of a role in creating it. Because we are creators, and we all have the opportunity, you see. It works perfectly well. That's another interesting topic I want to get into someday, but not for a while, I'd say. Playing God, so to speak. It's like whoever has a farthest and most encompassing, broadest, most holy vision at any particular moment is actually leading the course of the whole planet. Or, everybody leads the course of their own lifetime, but in a larger sense, there is always one person on this earth who's plotting our course. And the mechanism behind that is perfect. It can't be messed with, you don't get that opportunity unless you're right for the job, unless you can handle it, unless everybody is behind you, and that not just people in the world. I'm talking about the universe, because it is all connected. And consciously, the people in the world, most of the people don't know what the hell is happening. But when you're connected to that universal consciousness, and it's behind you, and you just know that that's your role at that particular moment, and you see where you're going because you're actually plotting it, you're working it out. This is why it's totally different from meditation, because you're actually using your mind at the same time. So this will be a shock to all those religious people, not to some of them, because some of them know what's going on. But to a believer, this is blasphemy, To a true believer, this is crazy stuff, I should be locked up in a learning asylum for talking like this. But this is what it is. This is my experience. This is what I know. And I tend not to believe. So this is how incredibly powerful and this is what we can do. This is what we do. Yes, we do. Yeah, alright. That's all there is, really. There's food and there's crap. In one hole, out the other. Pretty simple. We want to be top feeders, or we can be bottom feeders. We're always eating somebody's shit. And it's just a matter of direction.